Got tenants from hell? Here's what nobody tells you about selling the property. Think your problem tenants are a nightmare? Wait till you hear this. I have the inside scoop on how you can sell the house even with a tenant disaster brewing on the inside. From eviction drama to cashing in, how to turn tenant trouble into a winning sale. You don't want to miss this. Subscribe for real estate tips every week. Here's what Victor Berbosa, one of the top realtors in DFW, who also happens to investors, said when asked, what's the first thing a seller should do when they have a tenant that is not cooperating?
If you have a troubled tenant, the first thing you want to do is go ahead and start evicting them. If they're a troubled tenant now, they're going to be a troubled tenant when you're trying to show the house, when you're trying to sell it. They're not going to cooperate. They're going to cancel your showings. They're going to smoke sometimes. I've seen them smoke outside. Go ahead and get them out. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and hire an evictions tenant. If you're an expert on doing the evictions yourself, then by all means. But what I've found is that hiring an expert will create a smoother process, and it's less likely to land you in hot water.
What if you just inherited the property, or for whatever reason you don't have a written lease? How can you evict a tenant then?
In the event that you don't have a lease, believe it or not, you still have an agreement, whether it's informal or it's going to be informal in this situation. You can still file for an eviction. And if you don't have a name for who to evict, then you can actually do it for the occupant itself. At this point, your lease is actually just month to month. It's pretty much a rental agreement, month to month. You can send a notice of non-renewal, meaning you're not going to stay here another month, or you could do an eviction. Of course, the eviction is going to be if they're not paying rent. If you don't have an official lease agreement, you're pretty much out of luck in trying to evict for anything else, unauthorized pets, occupants, things of the sort. You can really only do it for lack of payment.
How long does the eviction process take?
The most recent one I did, from the time we filed to the time that we actually got a court order, it took about, I want to say a month. And then after you go ahead and get the eviction awarded to you, you wait about a week to see if they left. If they have not left, then you contact your eviction agent again, and you tell them to go file what's called a writ of possession. And what the writ of possession does is that it allows the court to go ahead and send a sheriff. You get your eviction agent to show up at the house with movers, and a locksmith access the property and do what's called a set out. They'll actually take all of the tenant's possessions and put them out on the curb.
So if you're facing a situation with problem tenants and you're thinking about selling, here's steps you can take right now, immediately. Review the lease agreement. This is going to allow you to know your rights and your obligations to the tenant. Step 2, consider cash for keys. Cash for keys is where you give the tenant a certain amount of money to leave the house. In my opinion, a fair amount to give a tenant is first month's rent and a deposit so they can go into their new place. Remember, it's on the spot. They've been living there for years and now they have to move in 30 to 60 days. So giving them money is the least you can do, in my opinion. If you don't have money, you can always negotiate with the buyer to sell it with the tenant in there, or to have them pay to get rid of the tenant. Step 3, be upfront with the buyers. Let them know what kind of tenants you have. Let them know if they're paying. Let them know what they've done. The more information you give the buyer, the better they can help you. Start looking for investors. The best places to find an investor and the most safest way to find an investor is going through a realtor. Most likely a realtor should have investors in their buyer's database. The benefit of a realtor is they can vet the buyer to make sure they're legitimate and not scamming. But on the other side, you will have to pay realtor fees. If you don't want to pay realtor fees, when you do find an investor, you can simply look them up online and see their Google reviews, their website, and see if you can even get some references from them. Other ways to find investors is you can post your house on Facebook Marketplace. You can go into Facebook and look up real estate investor groups near me. There are going to be a lot of investors there. You can go to Google and look up real estate investment clubs. They should be a president, a secretary of those groups. They should be able to help you. Another way to find investors is pretty old school, is you can always post on Craigslist. Prepare for a negotiation. keep the end in mind. Remember, do not negotiate against yourself. Negotiating against yourself is if you put your asking price, let's say 100,000, an investor comes to you and says, well, what's the best you can do? And you say 90,000. You just gone down $10,000 when you did not have to. It's the investor's turn. If you set a price, tell them, I believe that price is fair. What's your offer? The investor is a professional and they're going to keep asking you, what's your best price in different ways? You need to stick to your guns and let the investor make an offer. You've already done your part by pricing the property. Remember, every situation is different. I recommend speaking to a real estate professional before you do anything. You can speak to a realtor, but what I've seen in my experience, most realtors are used to dealing with classic sales. You can always consult the investor who's buying the property. If he is or she is an honest person, they shouldn't be withholding information from you. They should be willing to give you advice and allow you to make the best decision for yourself. A big red flag in an investor, if they're hiding information from you, it's probably a sign that you might be giving away the property and they might not be the best investor to buy your property. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, hit the like button so more people can see these videos and we can keep growing the channel. If you need specific advice on your situation, click the link in the bio. We'd love to give you a cash offer or simply advise you on what you should do next.